for a point here. What did you make of your team's performance?
Well, especially with the result, very unhappy. Very tough place to come. A team that is very physical, very direct. If you don't deal with direct play constantly well, you never get any momentum. So it's very difficult. We went ahead to finally find more control and try to, from there, generate more chances and do that. But the start of the second half was very poor. So we give the ball away. We are just insecure what we do one with the other, and then the decision of the penalty comes, and it's for me never a penalty, but we take it from there.
How frustrating was the timing of conceding the penalty as well? Yeah,
really bad, because the game just started in the second half. You want to generate now certain momentum, especially going ahead, because they need to start to be much more aggressive, and we never got to do that because the game become really different.
You mentioned the physicality out there as well, perhaps a lot more physical than you'd have wanted ahead of a big game against Real Madrid on Tuesday.
No, but it's always like this, and that's a big strength of theirs, and you have to deal with that. If you want to dominate the game and win it and play the game you have to win, you have to deal with that, like with many other teams in the Premier League.
What did you do well out there today?
Well, in certain moments we deal with that really well. We had some very big transitions that we didn't finish them quite well, apart from the goal, and in many moments, I mean, it didn't generate anything at all. So it's very disappointing that from not generating anything, we just concede a goal.
7 league games left, but this is your 11th draw of the season. Is that ultimately what's cost you in the title race this season?
Yeah, for sure. You have to win many more games, especially when there is a team that constantly is winning.
I know that the big game on Tuesday is going to be on your mind now, but getting a lot of minutes into players' legs today was also important, and coming away with a clean bill of health. Have you managed to do that from today's match?
Yeah, that's all good, but we wanted the 3 points, and you want to get everything the way you plan it, and we did a lot of good things in the game. We managed to give minutes to a lot of players as well and rest some players, but we missed 2 points.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keown.
They wanted
afterwards. They're delighted. Obviously, the performance and the results have been good as well, which obviously helps it. But yeah, the last few games at Goodison are going to be enjoyed, and today was one of those days.
Martin, how do you think Mikel Arteta will feel about that point today? Will he be too bothered?
Do you know, I think he'd be disappointed at the start of the second half, the way that he allowed Everton back into the game. You can say it was a soft penalty, that's what they'll argue, but he would have expected to have won this game today, particularly when those two were coming on at half-time. We saw glimpses of Martinelli, and again some good minutes, but you know, Saka's had 73 minutes in 2 matches, no start now for a number of months, so it was about managing minutes. That's what it became, and it's a shame that they kind of find themselves in that situation. Of course they would have wanted to still go after the title, but all in all I think it was honours were even between the two teams. I think it was just about a fair result, really.
Their 11th draw this season, Martin. Only Everton have actually got more than them in the Premier League. Is that the real difference between them?
That's been the difference, yeah. I mean, there's games they were winning last year. You know, if you remember, they went on that incredible run, last 16 games, won 14, lost 1 and drawn 1. They weren't, you know, there was not many draws in there. This year, too many draws. And of course, hamstrung with, you know, injuries. Players are out in the final third, and I think that's really affected them. And they're looking at now that it's not the priority today, really. They're looking at other games, another competition, a huge competition, of course. And it's about, you know, preservation, really. And that's because the squad has got that bug of injuries, and they've had to make sure they just negotiate today's game. You know, credit to Everton. They come back way much better. Moyes it's a totally different Everton right now. 1 defeat in 11. You know, and you know, coming here now is now an okay result. You know, okay, Liverpool came here and won, and Arsenal needed to match that and weren't able to do so.
Can we just put that down to the injuries, Phil? Because they were leading in 7 of those 11 games that they've gone on to draw. Is that something that really has to be addressed?
Well, it is a valid excuse, if you like, but it's tough. A lot of people are pointing out that they didn't go and buy another striker, another number 9. But again, it's if everyone had obviously a clear ball to go and look what was going to happen, I'm sure they'd have signed someone. But it's tough. Liverpool have been fantastic as well. It's hard to go season after season after season to win, as Martin said, 14 of the last 16 games last season. That's not always as easy to do. So Arsenal will be frustrated, but they're going in the right direction. They're obviously in a Champions League game this next week. They're probably going to finish second in the league. It's nearly where they want to be. So I suppose there's positives there, but I'm sure if you're an Arsenal fan, you're just desperate to try and win that Premier League. It's been too long.
Let's have a look at the way Arsenal scored in that first half. Phil, just talk us through what went wrong from an Everton point of view in this.
Well, it was a story in the first half. They just made a couple of bad decisions on the ball, and it cost them the chances. But obviously, between Jared and Adjuster here, there's got to be more communication. If Jared's probably not too sure, maybe, again, in hindsight, it's fantastic from here, potentially not go for the header and drop off. And then obviously when Trossard gets it, you'd like to engage maybe a step or two sooner, potentially close your legs, which obviously allows Jordan then to know that the ball can't go across him into the back post. But I'm saying this, I'm stood in the studio, it's really easy. I'm sure I've done that plenty of times myself. But
these are young defenders, and I think Braithwaite there. It's one of those stay goal side. You learn that, don't you? Eventually, you have to learn the hard way. And then this one here, O'Brien. I think I've been really impressed with him, but there he's got to get up to the ball because as soon as that's away off and gone from Trossard, it's gone into the back of the net.
Trossard's done that on purpose. He's shifted it to the left to make the defender overstep to shoot between your legs. It's a skill. I remember playing against Jermaine Defoe. That was his favourite goal ever. And again, Trossard did it. Fantastic skill from him to obviously drag it back through O'Brien's legs.
Yeah, it was a good finish. Let's have a look, Martin, then at the penalty that Arsenal conceded at the start of that second half. It was Miles Lewis-Skelly kind of bundled over Jack Harrison. What are your feelings on this?
I think initially, Lewis-Skelly maybe he doesn't really kind of get the flight of the ball and he's trying to get his body in the way, but I don't believe there's enough contact there for a penalty, and it's very soft. Even there, I'm not sure where the contact is. I can understand Harrison wants to go down. There's a tugging match here, and then is there any real contact?
Yeah, massive, Martin. You don't see it. Come on. Again, it looks sunshiny, but it is a little bit windy. Here's a penalty, obviously a fantastic finish from Illiman, but it is a little bit windy. It's like you say. Skelly lost the flight of the ball, and that's the last thing you want. Just coming out from half-time, Arsene Wenger, Mikel Arteta would have said, let's not concede, let's control this game, and to give Everton the emphasis to go into the second half and put Arsenal under pressure, which they did for most of the half.
What I would say, if I was working with the player, I was like, he uses his body brilliantly. It's one of his strengths. But there are occasions when you just have to go towards the ball, and that would be one of those where he'll look back and say, do you know what, maybe I should have just tried to clear it. But I'm not really sure he's made the foul there. But once the referee gives it, I don't think VAR is going against it. And the referee was found wanting a little bit today. Some very strange decisions. There was a couple of times the goalkeeper was being obstructed when he kicked it, and the referee didn't even see it. So anyway, let's move on.
So ends the match. We will move on. Yes, Iliman Ndiaye scoring from the spot to equalise. We're going to take a break now. More reaction on the way from Goodison.
Yeah, I was going to say, how quickly do your minds turn to Real Madrid on Tuesday?
Yeah, we have to review this one, and then all the focus is on the next game, and that's a great game for us. Everyone is really excited for that one, so we're up for it.
Here today, though, it does make it an 11th draw in the Premier League this season. Is that ultimately what's cost you in the title race this season? Just too many draws?
Yeah, of course. If you don't win enough games, you're not there, and we lacked that this season. Obviously, we all know the history of what we've had with injuries as well, but we don't want to have too many excuses, and that's how it is. Now we have to focus on the game on Tuesday, and we go full gas there.
Thanks for talking to us.
You're welcome.
David,
thank you.
I know you haven't wanted to count your chickens and say that Everton are safe, but 15 points above the relegation zone now. Surely it's okay now?
Yeah, I think we're getting much closer, but again, until it's mathematically possible, then we have to make sure that we don't say too much. But let's be fair, it'll be very hard for the other sides to get to where we are now.
Is it still the case that you're not going to visit the new stadium until it's mathematically safe?
I'm planning to go and visit this week. I hope I'm not counting my chickens, but I'll try and go down this week and start to see how it's looking and maybe what we need to do as well.
What do you think of the performance today, especially the way your team came out at the start of that second half?
Well, I thought our performance in the first half looked like we had a game on the Wednesday night and Arsenal had a day extras recovery. I thought we were really poor in the first half, incredibly poor decisions at times. But I thought the second half we got about them a little bit at half time and expected more from them. And No, whether it was good fortune or whatever, we got a penalty early on, which settled us down a little bit more. So much happier with how we performed in the second half. Look, we always had to make it difficult for Arsenal. We couldn't come here and probably go toe-to-toe and play a nice pure football game with them. We had to make it as tough as we possibly could.
Would you put the start or the first half down to potentially the quick turnaround? Obviously, two really tough games.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it's not something we've been used to here as often. There's many clubs do. Arsenal, for one, and certainly all the teams who are in European football have got it near enough every week. So I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I think it could have been part of the reason why we had a slow start today.
Just looking here, what you've done since you've been here. I mean, Sean Dyche did a good job, as I'm sure you'll say too. But you took that baton and you took it on and took it to another level. What you've done in this remarkable, in this short space of time. Is it surprised you, even you, that how quickly that you turned this around? Because you must have been concerned. You wouldn't, on your legacy, you wouldn't want. You've done a great job here 11 years ago. You come back and suddenly you think, hold on, I don't want to get this wrong. But it's been an amazing turnaround.
Yeah, thank you for that. Look, I agree. I mean, when I was getting the job, I was saying, my goodness, if I take Everton down, this will be absolute disaster. New stadium. I'm saying I don't know where I'm going to live. Never mind anything else, But look, it came around, and actually the big thing is the players have really responded well. And we'd gone from everybody saying, no, we don't make any chances, we're not scoring any goals. We've started to go to look as if we're a threat. Even today in the first half, I didn't think we played particularly well, but we still had a threat. We still looked on a couple of occasions that we were getting close to getting a goal. So for me, that's the biggest thing, that we've started to look as if we're a bit more, I'm not going to say exciting, but we're a bit more likely to score than we have been.
Do you think Njai sort of encapsulates that more than any other player? Because he looked a bit lost, and suddenly you've given him a role out of possession. So you pull him back into midfield, you know, to form the two when a midfield player comes out and presses.
Yeah.
And then when he gets it, he runs with it, and he seems to be much better in possession these days. He's making better decisions.
Look, we're trying to become a side who we can have more of the ball. We're trying every day. We train every day to retain possession better, make better chances. But there's also a DNA in the club here, which you'll know from years gone by. This has been a club that's had big centre forwards and played up to them and round them. And in the stadium as well has got a little bit of looking for that type of play as well. So we're trying to mix it up a little bit, but you're right, the boys in the midfield are doing much better, and I think they're taking the ball and trying to play more.
In fairness, Beto is another one, isn't he? He looks transformed. He's a real handful.
Yeah, I mean, look, you wouldn't. There's things about him what has to improve, and everybody can see that. But both of us, or the three of us, all being central defenders, would know. You can see would have our hands full with it. You would have a game. You might be thinking that there's other parts.
Well, you're looking at what he can do rather than what he can't do.
Of course, and he was a threat even to the centre halves today against them.
He was, yeah.
David, we heard from you before the game when you were talking to some fans, and you said your aim is to take Everton back into Europe. How realistic is that, and can you put any sort of time frame on it?
No, I think when I was at West Ham, I've now got that thought that, hey, we had a year where we had to avoid a relegation, and next year we found ourselves qualifying for Europe. Partly probably because of the man who played for Arsenal today, in Declan Rice, was probably a big part of that as well. Maybe a bit to do with COVID as well might have given us that opportunity at the time. But I have to say that I think Everton need to be a club who's trying to shoot for the stars if we can. Now, obviously, this week we've played Liverpool and Arsenal, who are way better than us in footballing terms. But I think in both games we've tried to make it as equal as we can, tried to get something out of it. We need to bring in some more quality players if we can do that to add to the squad we've got. And if we do that, I hope I can keep building. And if the run we've been on at the moment, if we can keep it going, we're probably up with some of the best teams in the Premier League at the moment.
David, thank you for coming up to join us. We've got to let you go. But
I know who's buying next. He's got 5 players on loan here.
Yeah, good point.
That's the next headache.
Yeah.
Enjoy your trip to the new stadium.
Thanks very much.
Hope it goes well. Well done today. Cheers.
See you later. See you, Jags.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Martin, you talked to him all day, I think, wouldn't you? How important is it, though, that they get that recruitment right this summer to make that a possibility? Because I guess Forest have shown what's possible in terms of getting into Europe, having had financial problems, getting that recruitment right and pushing for the Champions League.
Yeah, and Forest only finished 6 points above the bottom 3 last year, and look at them now, dreaming of Europe. So, he has to raise the expectation for this great club. They have to try and aim, as you say, to reach for the stars, and they might touch the ceiling. So that's what it really is about. It will be a busy summer for him. There's 5 loanees, players that will need to be brought in, and money's been spent here not always wisely in the past. So it's going to have to be clever recruitment. But I think he understands the players he wants, and it's what you do with the players as well. And I think there's been a real turnaround from the likes of Beto was almost non-existent, but now you see a really decent player there.
He looks confident, doesn't he?
Yeah, he understands what this club needs and what type of players the fans will want to turn up and see and support and all sorts. So if it is a little bit or a big rebuild come the summer, I think he's the perfect person to be given the money. Obviously, he'll have people in and around him that will be advising him as well. But again, he'll fully understand what's required, and he's not daft. He's not expecting Everton to be in Europe next season. He'll take it by all means, but I think he realises it's going to be a bit of a slow burner, and it's important that the mistakes aren't gone again.
What did you think of the threat that they posed today, Phil?
Well, that's what he said. I think he was fully aware. It's not a case of all of a sudden changing your ethos and becoming like a total football team or tiki-taka. He basically wants to make sure, as he said, that Arsenal know they've been in a game today. And there's certain opportunities today that he may have liked to have gone a little bit different and done a little bit better with. But Arsenal knew they've been in a game today, and once they get on the coach on the way home, there'll be a few tired legs in the Arsenal camp, and that's what David Moyes is trying to do. A home game is so important for the Evertonians, and they've given him a really tough game this afternoon.
He understands that they've always had a big number 9, haven't they, over the years? The Latchfords. Bob Latchford takes you back a long way, that Phil.
I wasn't quite around there.
Sharpie up top, and Andy Gray, and all these players, and they kind of, he knows what they want here, and that Harrison was whipping some really fantastic crosses in, and that's what they'll try and do. Beto as though runs really well with the ball.
It's like the hard part is getting ahead in the games against Everton. Then you can't give goals away. You can't let points slip through your fingers. I remember, so I think there was a Brighton game earlier in the season. There's been quite a few, and that's ultimately been the difference.
Yeah, so Arsenal 11 points behind Liverpool, who play tomorrow, could be 14 by the end of the weekend. Is that it for you? Title gone?
As a fan, and you can't. While it's not mathematically impossible, you just have to keep hanging in. But you can't really sit here and feel like Arsenal, especially when you saw today the lack of quality in the final third, especially in the first half. You can't really sit here and honestly believe that you're going to be able to catch Liverpool in the current climate. I could totally imagine if you were scoring goals and you're winning games and you're closer, but we're not close enough without the quality in the final third at the moment. So it's a tough one. It's tough, and it's very hard for me to say we're out of it. But it's maybe a bridge too far.
Yeah, I mean, you think about when wonderful position.
Yeah, it leaves Arsenal's only hope with the Champions League. That means Tuesday is a huge game.
Yeah, it is. And everybody's known. I think that they'll be a little bit relieved of this game. It would have been nice even if they could have taken this game maybe 1-0, then you get on the coach now and you just relax and get ready for arguably the biggest game in some of those guys' careers. So, it's something that it means so much to the club to try and win this game, but we know how tough this is going to be.
Absolutely. Well, that's just game 1 of match week 31. We have plenty more to come, including 3.
Congratulations. You see that as a good point after going behind in the game?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Obviously, we lost earlier this week, and we needed to turn things around today, get a good result, and I think we did that today.
It must feel so good for you to be back starting in this team after your time out injured and back on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, it felt great. I wanted to give the penalty to Beto, but I thought I had the knee to get back on the score sheet. But yeah, I'm very happy to be back.
It was a great start to the second half. What did the manager say at half-time? Because you seemed to come out with so much more energy and you could feel the crowd get behind you.
Yeah, obviously it wasn't good enough in the first half, but he's come in the change room and told us to change, told us stop, let's go out and turn things around, and everyone be at it, everyone put more into it, and obviously we try and turn things around, and we did.
Just 3 league games left at Goodison Park now. How important is it for you players to end the season on a high here for these Everton fans?
Yeah, I think it's important, and I think it's very exciting too. The more we're playing games here, the less there is. We want to give everything for our fans, that have been here a long time and seen everything here. We just want to finish with hopefully all wins for the last 3 games.
Well done today. Thank you for talking to us. Appreciate it.